Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that'll have plot synopsis and character bios for this issue. The Uncanny X-Men 176 from 1983. And in this, we have a cover of Cyclops, and there's some kind of octopus choking him, and he's using his optic blast. Um, so, John Romita Jr. also did the cover for the classic X-Men here, only in this time he is using he's fighting sharks instead of that monster. I actually prefer the original cover here. So this is right after the From the Ashes storyline. I do have several playlists. I have an X Universe playlist, which puts everything in there, all in reading order. I have an X-Men playlist just by X-Men by itself. I have a New Mutants playlist, so feel free to check it out. Um, Chris Claremont writes, John Romita Jr. is the new penciler. Bob Boyachek remains for inker for now. Eventually, Dan Green will be he will be the permanent inker, and he will stay with Mark Silvestri. So Glynis Ween is the colorist, Thomas Zukowski letters, Louise Jones is still the editor, and of course Jim Shooter is the editor in chief. Decisions and somewhere over the South Pacific. Top of the morning to you, Mrs. Summers. Of course, Cyclops has married Madeline Pryor, and they kiss, but her eyes are still on the sky. So, Scott, she says, at least give me a chance to engage the autopilot, or would you rather swim the rest of the way to Baroga? And he says, I'll go anywhere, do anything, so long as it's with you, my darling. And she's like, give me a break. Better yet, try another kiss. The old crate can fly herself for a while here. So, and it says here later, so you know that they did something here. So, bet you never realized I was a incorrigible romantic. And she says, incorrigible something, that's for sure. And so, I took your breath away, and she says, that you did. And so, Cyclops goes, so when do we land? And Maddie says, you know, Hotshot, at this rate, neither of us will survive our honeymoon. And he says, true. But what a way to go, he says here. So, Buster, you better be this eager on our golden anniversary. And he says, what's the matter, Madeline? You sound tense. And she says, I'll bank the goose a little. Take a look behind us. And she says, that's a nasty front chasing our tail. And he says, so I see. Hurricane? And Maddie says, too small and out of season, but pretty rough nevertheless. According to the weather reports I've been monitoring, we're outrunning it, though. We should reach safe harbor long before it hits the islands. So, we've so she continues here. We've been on the road for weeks, Scott. Made up your mind yet about joining your dad aboard the Starjammer? And he says, nope, I'm running out of time too. They'll be warping out of orbit soon. If I stay, I may never see him again. If I go with him, I may never see the Earth. And all of a sudden he goes, Yow, Madeline, what's happening? What have we flown into? And she says, a line squall moving ahead of the main front. And Cyclops says, this turbulence is incredible. It's like flying into a brick wall. Try to hold her steady, Scott. We can't let the wind pitch us up into the stall. And suddenly they're hit by lightning here, and all their circuits explode, and you can see the airplane is going down into the Pacific. Now, We, of course, get a change of scenery here. And we're in Japan here. And, of course, this would be Mariko. And she awakens. She goes, "Who is there? What do you want?" And he says, she goes, "Wolverine. Evening, Mariko." And this is, of course, the sword. "That's your sword, I believe. The honor blade of the clan. 2 days ago, an Imperial messenger delivered it to me in New York. I want to know why." And she says, "It is yours by right." And Wolverine says, "If that's true, you're mine as well." Of course, if you remember, they were to be married, but Mastermind had her change her mind. And so, uh, "Logan-san, no, I love you. Nothing in life would make me happier than to become your wife, but this cannot be," as she cries. And Wolverine says, "Bull." And of course, we get a recap. "You called off our wedding because of Mastermind, uh, but he's beaten. Xavier undid all the psychic damage he caused. Everything should be just the way it was." And Mariko says, "Are you mad or blind to think that? Nothing is the same." Of course, she explains here. By the way, I love the shade here, and it was also in the previous page, and being done with screen tones. That is just awesome. So, anyway, she says here, "When you killed my father, you chose the path of honor, though you believe that doing so would cost that which you held as dear, me," she says. "Now, beloved, it is my turn. Thanks to my father and to me, because of what I did while under Mastermind's influence, Kanyashita is bound body and soul to the Japanese underworld." And she continues, "Those ties must be broken." And Wolverine says, "Leave that to me." And she says, "No. If I am to remain true to my sense of honor, I must undertake this task myself and alone," she says. "If you love me, more importantly, if you respect me, you will let me do so." And Wolverine says, "Suppose you fail." And she says here, "Then the man to whom I have entrusted my heart will do what must be done." Oh, that is such great writing. I'm telling you, Chris Claremont is really, really good. I wish he would be able to get more stuff nowadays. When you look, especially with modern day writers, but dude can't get any work. Not any, but hardly. So Wolverine picks it up and says, "I understand. You know where to reach me, Miko. Sayonara." And she says, "Farewell, beloved," as she cries. And so she thinks here, "You risked all to prove yourself worthy of me, Wolverine. It is only fitting that I do the same. I do not want to die, nor to see others slain in my name, but I am Lord of Clan Yashida. I cannot shirk that responsibility, no matter the cost." So, back to Scott and Maddie. They're trying to fix stuff, but nothing is working here. And so they packed a lot of spares, so they have a lot of stuff. But he says that Storm's coming, and so that's what they're trying to hurry here. Um, and so she's like, "Care for a kiss, Hotshot? Consider it an incentive for getting us out of here." And he's like, "Hold that pause," but then he slips here, and so uh, she grabs him. He says, "You can let me go. I know how to swim." But suddenly, um, there's a shark, and she's like, "Great, dummy. So can he." So, um, and she's like, he's like, he missed, but I won't. So he shoots him with the optic blast here. And so he, of course, was afraid, but it's that fear, he's put his life on the line before with the X-Men. So, but it's a big ocean, and there's somebody always bigger, and someone grabs the shark. So now in Washington D.C. here, And so Henry Peter Gyrich, he is about to go into, so this would be what, the U.S. Capitol? So, all right. So he's been summoned, and he assumes it has to do with Project Wide Awake, and he sees the meeting started without him. Of course, they're looking at the destruction of Varinkino in Siberia. This has to do with issue 150 of Uncanny X-Men, which of course I have a playlist, and every issue is in order. So this guy here says, hey, if you could take a pause so that Peter Garrick can get settled in. This dude here is from the CIA, and of course this is Valerie Cooper. Um, and of course this is the judge. This is the guy that Judge Petrie. So Magneto says he's issued a worldwide ultimatum: either disarm all nuclear weapons and cede absolute control to him, or face annihilation. Um, so, of course, the Soviet response was to launch missile strikes at Magneto's base of operation and he sank the sub. So, that again, that was in issue 150. And we're going to kind of move on from that, as he is just basically, like I said, rehashing the stuff that happened in issue 150, which I have covered. And so now Valerie Cooper is going to speak. And she's going to talk about the mutant problem. And of course, she references the X-Men here. She, of course, says that mutants will one day inherit the Earth. But that the fact that mutants are now becoming worldwide, which means other countries might be able to exploit them versus the United States here. And so she says, imagine the damage that could be done. Spies, telepathic spies, mutant saboteurs, assassins, all that kind of stuff. And so Peter says, are you suggesting that we get mutants of our own for the government? And she says, absolutely. Peter doesn't think that it's a very good idea, and that they shouldn't do anything. And she says, Mr. Garrett, do you suppose the Russians maintain as cavalier an attitude? She asks. Mutants pose a clear and present danger to our country that must be dealt with today at once, for tomorrow will be too late. So, all right. So I kind of skipped over a lot of that stuff, but like I said, it was basically rehashing X-Men 150. All right, so now we're in the Pacific, and we can see that the storm has arrived here, and she gets the engine going here. But there was an explosion here. Scott says, cut the power here, and he feels bad. He thought he had it this time, but he didn't have it. She, of course, says, too bad I'm not Phoenix, because then I could have it done quickly. And Cyclops says, that's sort of not funny. Phoenix was dangerous. And so they continue kind of just talking here, unaware here that danger is coming here. And so now we are moving on. So this is so different from other stuff here. We're going into the Morlock tunnels here. And here, this is Caliban as he enters. He's wondering what they're doing in his room here. And here's Callisto. And she goes, Caliban, is that any way to greet old friends? And he's like, you guys don't have any right to be here. Get out. And Callisto says, we haven't seen you in ages. We're concerned, that's all. Wondering perhaps if anything is wrong. So, and Callisto says, I may have been deposed as leader of the Morlocks by that X-Men Weather Witch Storm, but I still care about my people. And Caliban says, it's nothing. Caliban just wants to be left alone. And Mask says that he knows what's going on. It's Kitty Pryde. He has a crush on her. He says, you can't have her. And of course he says, shut up. Picture Caliban's. He sort of speaks Yoda-ish. So, room Calibans, go away and leave him in peace. And Callista says, you'll have to throw us out. We four, you, Mass, and Sunder, founded the Morlocks. If we don't look out after each other, who will? And of course, he's like, feel so ashamed. Kitty Pryde promised that if Caliban helped the X-Men, she would stay with him forever. For love of her, Caliban betrayed his friend, but she lied. She never returned. And Callista's like, poor thing, your heart made such a fool. He goes, Caliban knows. Your hatred is no less than he deserves. And and Callista says, it is the child Suzette's fault. She gave her word. I mean, she keeps it. Really, Callisto? No joke? So, be patient, Caliban. Trust me, obey me, and your heart's desire will be yours. And Mass says, Storm's the boss now. Suppose she objects. And then Callisto says, then, Mask, I get my heart's desires too. So, back again to the Pacific here. They're going to give it one more chance. And, of course, the engines get up. So, now she's going to get the anchor out. But she's now grabbed by this octopus-looking creature and takes Madeline down. Of course, Cyclops notices, so he's going to jump off. He's got cut-off jeans also. That's awesome. So he sees the tentacle, takes out his glasses so he can shoot out, but it now grabs him by the legs here and drags him down here. So, all right. And so it is a big octopus that's huge. He goes, I thought those were only in the movie. So he shoots at the octopus again here. It lets go of Maddie. He's gonna go, but it grabs him. Poor guy. He's gonna drown at this rate here. But uses his optic blast again, and now they're up here finally. And so he can't see anything. So she is going to sort of be his eyes as they're going to the plane, but it grabs him again. So he is going to have to use his full power on this squid-looking creature. He's like, got it, but he doesn't know how deep he is. And Maddie gets him, says, quit struggling, and they're going into the airplane. He goes in and puts on his X-Men mask now, so that he can control. And so here they go. They switch the on. This one blows out. Of course, Cyclops says they won't start. And she's a small wonder. This is an airplane, not a submarine. The engines are probably as waterlogged as we are. True, nothing left but to keep trying till we get it right. And so they kiss and says, for love, good pilots never depend on luck. And we hotshots are two of the best. And so there's ignition here. And off they go. And they did it. And they kiss and make it above the storm here. Scott Love, I hate to spoil an absolutely magnificent moment, but we're not out of the woods yet. We've got no instrumentation, no communications, and a very long way to go to reach the small island in the middle of a really huge ocean. He says, no problem. We'll make it fine. You got my guarantee. And so he says, no problem. They'll make it here. So, and so, there's just some talk about, how much they love each other and yada, yada, yada. He talks here about his dad. He basically decides not to follow his dad. He wants a family. He wants to be with him, and she wants to be with him. And so you can see here love and yay. So the beginning, and so thus endeth the issue. Next issue, sanctions. So Uncanny X-Men 176, Chris Claremont, new penciler John Romita Jr., And Bob Wycheck is the crusty old inker. Like and subscribe. Oh, by the way, this is Dry Brush. Isn't that lovely? Oh, just lovely. Where was I? Like and subscribe. I do thank you for listening. Goodbye.